Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be breaking down a level 2 strategy and how I use that strategy to make $5,000 on one single trade that was a 40% return on investment. This trade I'm talking about was on SQ. The ticker name is SQ and the company is Square. I took this trade because of a level 2 strategy based on Bookmap. If you guys don't know, Bookmap is a software that shows you big orders and the level 2 in a heat map and a graphical representation. In this video, I will first show you guys my trades on the chart. Then I will play the recording of Bookmap and give you guys the reasons why I decided to size up on this trade and how I was able to score a perfect entry because of Bookmap and the level 2 strategy. Let's first look at the technicals and why I was watching SQ for the day. SQ was on my game plan for 5th of August 2021. I post my daily game plan on our Discord group. So if you guys want to be part of our Discord group, the link will be in the description box below. Let's look at the one-day chart of SQ and try to understand what is happening in the overall bigger picture. SQ had earnings that was 3 days ago. After earnings, it gapped down slightly, but we saw a big move towards the upside. That is around $30 to $40 move on SQ. The ATR of SQ, that is the average true range, how much a stock moves on a daily basis, is around $10. On this day, after earnings, it moved around $30 to $40. That is 3 times the ATR of SQ. The thing I like about this chart is that after this huge move up on high volume, it consolidated for 2 days on low volume. We can see that these are 2 red candles and the volume is low compared to the green candles. And another thing I like about this chart are these bullish wicks. These wicks at the bottom of a candlestick means that the sellers tried to push the stock down, but then buyers stepped up again and they tried to hold this trend line on SQ that was holding previously on the one-day chart. Coming to my levels, we can see that SQ made this bullish flag on the one-day chart. So my levels on SQ were the break of $270 on the one-day chart, and the next resistance we have is 275, which was around the high of the day that was 2 days ago, followed by 280, which is a good psychological level. If 280 breaks, I had a strong feeling that this might even break all-time high, which was 283.19. In this chart in front of you, you can see 2 trades in total. This is my first trade in and out. That was a losing trade. But then this second trade was based on a level 2 strategy that I will be discussing in detail in this video. To look at the reason for me to take this first trade is by looking at the 5-minute chart. If you look at the 5-minute chart, SQ had a huge move up in the morning. It made this flag pattern on the 5-minute chart. You can see that this 5 minutes, it had 4-5 green candles on high volume. Then the volume went down a bit. On the next green candle, I tried to get filled for the break of $280 level. My fill was around 279. I was trading 280 calls, same week contracts. I got filled 30 contracts at a premium price of 3.55. I sized up on this trade because I had a strong feeling that if it breaks $280 level towards the upside, it might even break all-time high. So I accepted that if I lose, I might lose $1,000 to $2,000 on this trade. But if I make money on this trade, I will easily make $5,000 to $10,000 on this trade. After my entry on this trade at a premium price of 3.55, SQ consolidated for around 4 to 5 minutes. It was looking really nice for the break of $280 towards the upside, but when it failed to hold 279 and 278 towards the downside, I covered my whole position with a loss of $2,000, which was around 18% of my investment. If I review my trade, this was still a good trade because I did not hold on to my loser. Even though I sized up on this trade, my plan was to enter at the break of 279 for the break of 280, and I wanted 278 to hold. When 278 did not hold on the level 2 and on the chart, I covered my position with a loss, but every trade is a risk to reward game. Let's now break down this trade on SQ that I took on the pullback, and then I added big size 30 more contracts at this breakout. Before I explain this entry, I will break down the Bookmap. I will play the recording of Bookmap, but let me first try to explain my first entry on this trade. To explain this entry, we have to again look at the 5-minute chart. We can see that it made a bullish move towards the upside. It's been consolidating on the 5-minute chart. What I like here on this chart is that the 5 minutes was still holding the 9 EMA. On this hold of the 9 EMA, when I saw this green candle, even if you look at the 1-minute volume here, these red candles have low volume compared to this green candle. When I saw that it's pulling back to the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart, the volume on the green candle increased. I took 10 contracts on the pullback, expecting $280 level to break, and if 280 breaks, I will add to my position. For these contracts, my stop loss was very, very tight. I wanted the 9 EMA on the 5 minutes to hold, and if 9 EMA did not hold on the 5 minutes, I would have covered my position with a small loss of around $200 to $300 on this this position. Here's a recording of the Bookmap. I record my Bookmap session every single day, so I will be playing this recording. Before I play this recording, because we just have to focus on the next maybe 1 or 2 minutes of this recording, I will break down what happened. On this pullback, as you guys saw, my entry was right here on this green candle. I was giving it room for the break of 276 towards the downside. So I'm just painting out the picture based on the candlestick where my entry was. My initial trade was right here. I got faked out right here. You saw that green candle, red candle. My second entry on the pullback on SQ was right here on this green candle. I was waiting for the break of 280 towards the upside, which has huge order, that is 26,000 shares towards the upside, right? Now it broke 278 towards the upside. After it broke that level, there's a big buyer at 278 with 27,000 shares. So this buyer is also expecting $280 level to break because it's a huge buyer. So this buyer is expecting that if he gets filled at $278 level, he will most likely cover that position at 280 or at the break of $280 level. That's what I like on this trade, that this buyer is right there acting as support at $278 level. Let's now play this recording and see what happens to that buyer. I always mention this to you guys that you have to focus on level 2 around big numbers. You don't have to focus on level 2 around each and every whole dollar level or maybe 20-30 cents. You have to look at the bigger picture and the big buyers and big sellers, because those are the big money players, and if you go with them, they will pay you a lot. Now see what happened right here. Did you watch that? What happened? The big buyer, I will pause this recording, was at 278 previously with 27,000 shares or something, right? That buyer stepped up his bid. He went from 278 to 278.60 because he was like, I'm not getting filled at 278. That means that same buyer, you can see that same buyer had his order at 278. He removed his order from 278, nothing right here at 278. He stepped up his bid. That means he is eager to get into that position. He feels like I'm not getting filled at 278. It's going to break 280 without me. I'm going to step up my bid. So he stepped up his bid to 278.60. When I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm going to increase my size on this position because this buyer is going to help me take it towards the upside. I will keep playing this recording so you guys can see what happened later. He will get filled a bit of his shares, but then he will step up his bid again. You can see he stepped up his bid from 278 to 278.60, which was very amazing to see that this buyer is very eager, he's very aggressive to get into this position. And now after a minute or two, I will fast forward this recording. It's at the moment 4x speed, but see what happened here, right here. Again, he stepped up his bid from 278 to 279 again. You guys can see clearly, he got filled a bit of his shares. He had around 27,000 shares, right? And then at this point, you saw that he had 26,000 shares. Finally, 6,000 shares. That means out of 26,000, he got filled 20,000 shares, or maybe he lowered his bid, whatever that was. But we can clearly see this big buyer had a big position at 278. He stepped up his bid to 278.60. He wasn't able to get filled his whole position. He stepped up his bid again to 279.00. So this buyer is very eager to get into this position. When I saw this 279, the buyer stepped up to 279. I added to my position 30 more contracts because this was a picture perfect example of a big buyer stepping up. That buyer is acting aggressive. He's very eager to get into this position because that big buyer thinks that, okay, this stock is going to go without me. Placed his order at 278, did not get filled. 278.60, did not get filled. Placed his order at 279. He was able to get filled a bit of his shares, but not his whole position. You guys can still see that buyer is still sitting here at 279. Finally, he removed his bid because he was like, okay, he got filled a bit of his position, but on the remaining 6,000 shares, he was like, okay, I'm not getting filled now, and he removed his position from there. I just showed you guys my reason of sizing up on this trade. Now I'm clearly in the driving seat. My first 10 contracts were at 2.76. I got filled 30 more contracts at a premium price of 3.55. I took 20 out at a premium price of 4.00. In all honesty, I could have held my position, all these 40 contracts, to see if the 9 EMA holds or not. But I just took my profits out a bit too early on this position because this was all-time high right here. I was expecting a bit of resistance at all-time high. So I covered 50% of my position at a premium price of 4.00. Around all-time high, I covered 15 more contracts at a premium price of 4.44 and 4.90. Finally, I was only left with 5 contracts, and the stop loss for those 5 contracts was the break of 9 EMA towards the downside on the 1 minute chart. When I saw this huge wick on the 1 minute, I covered the remaining 3 contracts at a premium price of 7.27. And finally, when it broke the 9 EMA on the 1 minute towards the downside, I covered my remaining 2 contracts at a premium price of 8.01. Overall, I made $5,263 on this trade using a level 2 strategy. This was a picture perfect example of a good level 2 strategy working out in my favor. And this was a return of 40% on my investment. And just to be honest, I'm not sure if this was a fluke or not, but the night before, the night of 4th of August 2021, we had a level 2 webinar for our Discord members. And I broke this strategy down, the level 2 strategy in detail for our Discord members on the webinar. What does big bid stepping up mean and what does big ask stepping down mean? And we could see a picture perfect example of that strategy working out very, very nicely the next day. Here's a screenshot of my entries and exits on SQ. In total on this day, on 5th of August, I took 5 trades, 3 were winner and 2 were losers. I lost around $2,000 on SQ. On my winning trade, I made $5,200 on SQ. Overall, ending the day with $3,643 in the green. That's it guys. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because I'm uploading 2 to 3 new videos on day trading every single week. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you're making a huge mistake because first of all, it's free and I post a lot of good day trading content on Instagram as well. The link will be in the description box below. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.